In Truth and in Spirit World of Worship Fellowship, iTIS World of Worship Fellowship. Today is Thursday, the 8th of January, in the year of our Lord 2026. Thursday means we do what we call the Weekly Katchup. The Weekly Katchup is usually a social or a topical issue, including politics, economics, marriage, anything. There's no topic that is beyond discussion here. So today we're back with yet another topic. My name is Jethro. Okay, I'm your moderator for today. Today we want to talk about accountability in marriage. Okay. First of all, what does that look like in marriage? Is it something that should be encouraged, or is it something that should not be encouraged? Is it a tool of control, or is it just the way marriage should be done? Okay. Usually, we normally say when you get married, you are subjecting yourself to certain rules of marriage. Marriage has rules, or at least it has a way it should run. No two marriages are the same, but obviously there are some things that cut across. So deciding to get married, for example, means somebody will ask you, where are you? Or where are you going? Who are you with? Or who are you going to hang out with? What are you doing? With who? And so on and so forth. So those types of questions, for me, speak accountability. Now, many men especially do not like to be asked those questions. I saw a video once where a man said, if my wife ever asks me where I am, that will be the end of our marriage. Like, how dare you ask me where I am? I'll be home whenever. Okay? Don't ask me where I am. It's none of your business. I'm looking for money. Should I tell you everywhere I'm going? Am I your child? No. Please never ask me those questions. Then there's another famous journalist in Uganda who had an assignment in Congo. Okay? His employer called him and told him, on Friday, we are flying to Congo. Congo is a war zone, as you know. And then the man said, you know what? I just told my wife I'm going to work. I'll be back after a week. I didn't tell her where I'm going, what I'm going to do. So it's until I came back that I told her, you know what, honey, I was in Congo. Guess what? And of course, she was frightened, as would any person be. So we want to talk about issues of accountability. Should there be personal space in marriage? Should there be things partners should never ask about? Finances. Should your wife know how much you earn, or should you explain or account for every penny and the way it is spent? Oh, honey, I earn 1 million shillings. I spend 400,000 on rent, 300,000, and things like that. Is that accountability, or it's overreach? So we want to understand today, is accountability, first of all, possible in marriage? If it is possible, how should it be done? Does it depend on the marriage, meaning the two individuals, or there are some principles that cut across? Depending on, because it's marriage, right? So that's what we're going to tackle today. Is it an expression of love, or it's an expression of mistrust? If someone wants to know all about you, do they really trust you? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? Where did you buy this? And things like that. And then the other question is, why do some spouses demand accountability, but they themselves resist any kind of accountability or any form of accountability, or being questioned themselves? Should a husband and a wife have any private areas that are off limits to their partners? For example, we've had a discussion here about phones, for example. Should your wife check your phone? Is that a way of being accountable? Should she know your mobile money password, your Momo PIN, I mean? Is that a way of being accountable? We've heard of a case where, the woman or the spouse knew the PIN of their significant other, and they went and sent themselves some money off that, So is that how you should be accountable? When is accountability manipulation or even control? Okay. Should your spouse determine who your friend should be? I don't like that friend of yours. Oh, I think you should not be friends with that person. Is that being accountable if you actually say, no, you can't choose my friends for me? And then lastly, as part of my introduction, there's a letter I shared on WhatsApp. There's a gentleman who has been struggling through school for the last, I think, 20 plus years. You know, he started as a port at a site, and because of that, he spent more years in primary school, came to Kampala for secondary, because he had to make ends meet. You know, he had to look for money here and there, and because of that, he spent a lot of time in secondary school. Instead of the 6 years, I think he did 11 years. And then, thankfully, he went to University, Makerere, where he did a 3-year course. And again, he says he spent more time, not just the 3 years. But his dream had always been to be a lawyer. So now, after doing the pre-entry, he said in 2018, he did the pre-entry for Makerere, passed it, entered law school. And now, you know, as part of law school, you have to do a diploma in legal practice at LDC. That is 1 year of intense study. If you have friends who are lawyers, they'll tell you in that year, that is the most challenged they've been. Even those who are religious and belong to our previous religion, because every Saturday there are exams. I know people who were in that religion who never showed up for church for a whole year. So this gentleman said, you know what? He wrote a letter to his wife and children and said, for the next 1 year, I'm going to be an absentee father because I want to concentrate on LDC. So I'm not going to be available, not physically, no time. Maybe money, I'll be taking care of expenses. But don't expect me to give you time or any other kind of attention within this year. I must finish this course on time. Okay. So is that a way of being accountable or is being reckless? He's basically telling his family, you know what, you're not going to see me for a whole year. Okay. As I finish this. Is that a good way to be accountable or not? So, but of course, ultimately, we want to ask, what does God say about accountability? At least in the context of marriage. What is the will of God, like we normally ask here, regarding accountability? So welcome aboard. You're free to share what you think. You can raise your hand electronically if you know where that feature is, or you can type in the chat room if you can't talk or if you're in a noisy background. Otherwise, you can just unmute and speak here. We are Roba style like that. So, Bob, let me start with you. Accountability in marriage. I know for you, I think you're for it in all aspects, including where you are, with whom you are, how much you earn, where you spend it, and so on and so forth. But is it a form of control or it's just the way marriage should be?
All right. Thank you.
In your opinion.
Yeah. I'll give my opinion. And again, it's now coming to 18 years when I'm married. So I can authoritatively talk about accountability in marriage. And I'm a person who has been through all the circles or the sides of, where you are not accountable. And at times when I took the decision to be accountable, and there's a very, very big differences. And I'll approach the answer in both ways. Now, when people say, and we are looking at this in the context of marriage, and it can apply to other areas. When we say the two have become one, again, the understanding is you are now going to start life together. So one of the things that comes first, and that brings the issues of accountability, is something called trust. Accountability comes in, you ask someone to account when you are not trusting them. And I have kids, but one of my kids is so good at doing what she's supposed to do that when I give her money to do ABC, I even don't need to worry about accountability, because I know she's going to do exactly what I've told her. Whereas the other one, the boy who's the oldest, when I give him money to do something, he will, like 30,000, he will try to get the cheapest, he will do this and that, and so then I'll always ask him for accountability of how he used the money. Now, in marriage, trust is very important. And once there is no trust, then accountability issues are going to come in and you're going to have problems. As I told you earlier, I mean, for me, I started in the traditional setup of whereby a man is not supposed to account to a woman. Nkola byange, I earn my money. I don't even need to disclose how much I earn, but I'll pay the fees, I'll pay the bills, my question would be, haven't I cleared this? Haven't I cleared that? What do you need to know? You don't need to know how much I'm earning. But what I discovered in that is that there's a lot of stuff I lost, or there's a lot of ways I wasted money in quotes, because I was not, my wife didn't know what was going on with my finances. And I had to go through a period of financial issues, trying to, you earn much, but you don't know, your money goes here, it goes there, because you're the one who spends it and anyhow you want. Now, when I opened up to the accountability, where we now sat down, okay, how much is coming in, where does this go, where can we go? I started seeing progress in regards to projects I was doing and all that. Now, the question was, I mean, the gap was, and this I had been told in marriage counseling, naturally, every man or every woman will have those things they want to do, okay? And now, when it comes to the money that comes in, there are things that a man would like to do that he doesn't want the wife to know about, okay? Maybe you want to spend money on your, or whichever way you want to. So when they were counseling us, something which I had not taken serious, the pastor told us that, you know what? You need to, accountability is a very big issue in marriage, but agree as spouses that if I'm getting 1 million, okay, and you're earning so much, now, either 100,000 or 200,000, come up with an amount whereby, so this 200,000 is mine. I'm not going to account for it to you of how I'm spending it. It is my money, okay? When we deducted rent, we deducted all these things, this 200, I don't have to tell you how I spent it. Where I spend it in a barn, take my drinks, or I buy something and I give it to a friend, or I buy roses and give them to you a gift. Now that 200 is up to me on how I spend it. And this reduces on that tension of wanting to account to people, because there's somewhere where you want to spend money that you don't want your spouse to know. And it's your right, it's your happiness, whatever you want to do. So I think that is something that helped me resolve that. So the accountability is there because we're doing projects together, but still I have that inherent where I said, this money, I'm going to spend it the way I want. I don't have to account to you. And she's okay with that. And she also has the same way. I don't have to look at, oh, how much did this money, where did you put this money? It's her money. So I think that's what I'm going to submit for now. That's my view. Yeah.
Thank you. So Bob, if I've understood you well, you're saying you are for accountability. You've given us an example of your finances, at least how things were before when you're making all the decisions, and then how things are now when you are able at least to tell the wife, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm planning, and so on and so forth. Of course, accountability in marriage is not just about money. Like I said in the introduction, it's about even your time, and other things.
Oh,
Who do you spend?
Yes. Jet, can I comment on, I'm concentrating on my, can I just make one comment on the other accountability?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so as I said, sorry, I missed commenting about time. We talk about phones, we talk about all these things. Again, the important thing is your spouse should know your whereabouts. That's why is this important? It's because we've had so many examples where things have gone wrong and your spouse has no idea where you are, and you can't be saved, okay? Or a spouse, you've heard of cases where a spouse dies, but they had all these secret accounts. The family goes into poverty, they are struggling, but meanwhile the guy had 5, 6 other accounts with millions of shillings on them, and that man is taken either by the bank or lawyers or whatever, some secret dealings, there were some secret businesses they had started, and the family suffers because of that. So being open and accountable in all areas is important. Now, again, human beings want freedom, as men or as people. If he wants to go and watch soccer somewhere, if he wants to go and visit, the issue is, as long as you create space whereby your spouse will not trust you, they will demand accountability of wherever you are 24/7. And that is brought about by the issue of mistrust. But if you have created an environment whereby you're free to talk about where you are with your spouse, every time they're not going to ask you, where are you, where are you, where are you? Because you've created an environment where they can trust you, you're open with them, and they're able to communicate to you. So for me, accountability goes through all the areas, and it helps prevent lots of problems. Now, in terms of phones, we always say, simu yo mwami ya mwami, my phone is my phone. Don't go into my phone if you want to find problems. Again, issues of trust. So find a way of, but ideally, your spouse should be able to open your phone and make a call, in case of emergencies, their phone is off and they can't use yours, or they need to use thumbprints, very many codes to get in. It has to do with trust. But ideally, don't look into your spouse's phone to look for fault, to suspect. Okay, but there should be that openness where you can actually pick up your spouse's phone and make a call on another, because you two are one. But the issue is, if you don't trust them, you always try to find stuff, and then that's where the problem is going to be.
Thank you, Bob. Of course, the other area of accountability is, should I call it feelings? How do you feel about your person? How do you feel about the marriage? Okay. Some marriages have what they call date night. Every week they just go to do an audit of the marriage. How is this thing treating you? What am I doing well? What can I do better? And so on and so forth. So does this accountability you're talking about also include telling your person that, you know what, I do not love you anymore? Is that being accountable? Or are you actually being reckless? Sandra, can you talk? Yeah, you're representing the ladies here today, so you better be in position to talk. My AB had promised to come, but she has disappointed. Sandra, can you talk? Okay, I guess not. Peter, are you in position to talk? Or you are still eating your slimy stuff?
In position to talk. I'm in fellowship. I'm here in a place where I can fellowship very well.
Okay, I just realized we didn't give a working definition of accountability in the beginning. Would you maybe start there before you go into your submission?
I don't know whether, but if you say working definition, let me say my
Purposes of the
operation.
discussion, really, not a textbook definition, really.
In this world, and where world I mean you and I, being Christians, us who believe that we are in a broken world. So in this world, in this broken world, and in the world of marriage, accountability is the wisdom to understand what to share with your spouse, when, why, and how.
The wisdom.
The wisdom to understand, okay, that wisdom, that the wisdom to understand the kind of information, the amount and quality of information to share with your spouse, when, why, and how. That's what I call accountability. Why? Because over the 10 years we've been talking about marriage in this fellowship, I've come to learn, I've kept on learning that there is such a thing as information management. In fact, let us add another terminology, information administration.
We're about to create a new course at university out of that.
No, actually, that one is the most
So,
appropriate.
so when
Information
we are
administration.
blessed,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the most appropriate.
So I beg your pardon, Pastor.
The information administration is the most appropriate term
Mm,
because in administering the information,
mm.
you are managing for that matter. So information administration is the most appropriate term in this context.
Yes, thank you, priest. Thank you, priest. Yeah. So that is so far the definition I can give. Therefore, accountability first begins with understanding self. When you get blessed to understand yourself, all right, the two parties, the two partners in this fellowship we call marriage, they ought to first understand themselves. Okay, you understand Isaiah, you understand you understand Serubide, you understand Jacqueline, understanding each other. So, and then you will definitely start to judge and evaluate the kind of information your partner needs, when they need it, and why they need it. Why should Mama Etta, why should she know this information, and why must she be shielded from this information? All that is accountability. So
So accountability also includes withholding certain information when the time is not right.
Yes, withholding certain information. That's why I have a why. Do you have a why? An understanding of that why. How should you do it? Okay, so it is very important in that case. Okay, for example, right now I'm in Ghana. Right now I'm in Ghana. Doesn't the mother of Mama Etta deserve to know that I'm away from Uganda? I'm away from home. Okay, I think she deserves to know. Okay, because I shall be away for, you see, I have a why. Number one, I'm going to be away not for a month, not for a week, not for a year. She needs to know. So in that case, it is accountability at its stake, and it is accountability demanded, or we ought to account for my being here and give the reasons. This morning I called Etta, Dean Etta, and I asked her, where am I right now? And then she recounted, hey, Papa, you are in Ghana, you got on board, okay, you traveled by an aeroplane, you are now at school. She's a 4, but she was now recounting all that information, and I ensured that I do that. And then after that, ask her, who is our daddy and who is our mommy? And I've indoctrinated her. I've indoctrinated her that our mommy and our daddy is Jesus Christ. So every time I call, that's how I manage this accountability. Accountability of where I am and what I'm doing there, and accountability of who our God is and what he does. Let me, I'm still here.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Isaiah, do you want to also talk about the issue of information administration?
No, I don't want to start.
Or you want to take another angle?
First of all, I would like to talk about I think 3 things about this topic. Do married people agree that marriage is a formal institution?
So, some will agree, some will not.
So those
But
who do
most of
not
us here at least we agree.
those who do not agree are violators of the same.
Mm.
Every married person must understand that marriage is a formal institution. That is what it is. And here are the characteristics of all formal institutions. Number one, implicit and explicit rules.
Implicit and explicit.
Rules, yes. Number one. Number two, there must be a clear hierarchy and division of labor.
Rules, hierarchy, huh?
And division of labor. Who does what, when, and how? Number three, there are defined goals and objectives. Or in each and every institution, there must be defined goals and objectives.
Would that be the same as vision and mission?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, number four, this will cause me problems, but it is true. There must be an official authority of enforcement.
The police.
Or the military, or whatever you call it. As long as you do not
For enforcing
bastardize.
the rules.
Yes,
Mm.
there must be. Why? Because marriage is a formal institution. So I would like to remind those who are married that you are in a formal institution. That is why you signed the papers, and those papers actually were channeled through the institution. Muslim, Islam, Church, Christian, Christendom, and they went to the government. So
The
you were
marriage registrar.
a marriage registrar. So you subscribe to a formal institution. People must understand. The other bit of love, emotion, intimacy, that is just a spice or something aside. But when we talk about marriage, we are discussing a formal institution. Now, finally, number five. Every formal institution has auditors and it has to be audited.
It's basically a company limited by shares.
By shares or by guarantee, whatever you choose.
Guarantee.
Yes. So, because there must be auditing, now that is another word for responsibility and is a synonym for accountability. That is one of the things that I wanted to say. Another thing I wanted to say. If you are married and you are not willing to be accountable, quit. Yes, quit. Because that is what marriage is about. Marriage is about being accountable, being responsible. Responsibility are towards the ability to respond. Responsibility. You have to have the ability to respond. You don't tell your spouse, don't ask me where I am. You have failed to respond. Therefore, you're not accountable. In other words, you're not a responsible spouse. Now, that is number two. Number three of the things that I wanted to say. If you want the breakdown, you will call me later. I am just listing the things I wanted to say about this topic. Number three, every formal institution has registered formal workers and hired professionals, experts, and workers. True or false?
True.
Good. So every marriage must conduct an audit to find out who of the spouses is a formal registered worker of the institution and who of those spouses is a hired mercenary.
And you be a head mercenary in your marriage.
In your own marriage.
Mm.
Yes. Because when you listen to the submission of Mr. Muyanja, who has spent 18 years in marriage, he's discussing from the perspective and the context and the background of formal spouses in this institution known as marriage.
Former employees.
Former employees. The problem we have with marriage today, in our world today, is that the so-called spouses are hired spouses.
Are they like service providers?
They are service providers in this marriage. They are here for a particular time, for a particular purpose and mission. And the mission is not this marriage. It's not this institution. They have never sworn any oath that binds them to this institution. Now, these are the people that we ask to be as accountable as the former employees of this institution, those who believe in this institution. So the challenges of accountability, moderator, in marriage start from that point. Who is to be accountable in marriage? A spouse. Are they a spouse really? Because really, if you believe in this institution and you actually started it, you birthed it, it is yours, why do you find it difficult to be accountable for what is yours? Moderator, those are the three aspects that I wanted to list.
Oh, before I let you go, on the issue of mercenaries or service providers, can you what is to be expected from these ones in terms of accountability, really?
Now, the worst that can ever happen is not you identifying them and mistaking them to be former employees of this institution known as marriage. That is the worst that can happen. But if you identify them as early as possible, you treat them, you do not expect too much accountability from such. Theirs is a mercenary role. After they have served their role, give them what they want and then let them be. That is all that you need. This is why it is important, moderator, for marrieds to take some time and do an inventory, how we got here, how we got into this institution. Because to be honest, some of us were coerced into this institution. That coercion could be embeera. That
Economic.
economic. That coercion could be culture, traditions, and elders. Elders got us here. We couldn't afford annoying them. That coercion could be career. So doing that inventory,
bw'oba towasizza tetukuwa bwa pastor,
tetujja kuwa busumba.
so n'ogenda n'olondayo
My SDM mentor told me that now that you are doing bachelor's in theology, you are now going to be an official pastor of this institution. Please get married. And I got married in the SDA. I am an example, Mr. Muyanja. Thank you for reminding me, actually. So there are many people who have got into this institution from that point of coercion. Then others are into this institution unknowingly. I mean, unknowingly. I'm serious about that.
Mama yangambye nzireyo gye nasuze.
So your spouse became your spouse ignorantly about this whole thing. They are still trying to understand what they are into. And they have been in that state for the last 3 years, by the way. So these are the challenges. So we need to find out, who are we in this institution, number one. Therefore, stage 2, what accountability can we expect from X and J after understanding who they are in this institution? Now those are the dynamics.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring you back later. Let me first go to Muchwezi. Muchwezi, can you hear us?
Hey, hello?
Yeah, yes, we're on the issue of accountability in marriage. I hope you've been following.
Yeah, I've been following.
The issue
Hey,
of where the land titles are, where the bank accounts are, how much money is on it, and things like that. Anyway, what's your take on the whole issue?
I'll start by the definition. I'm going to add one. Accountability is just being answerable. It's just being answerable. If I may just put it in simple terms, just being answerable to whatever, anything. Then now for accountability usually moves with one other word. It's called transparency. Whatever you do, it has been a glass that everyone can see. So for us, in our profession, that is what they teach us. You're supposed to be transparent as an accountant. And so now this transparency, this is where the gray area is. Because the question is everything supposed to be exposed? To what extent are you supposed to be transparent? And this is not only in marriages, but in life. Peter was mentioning information administration. Yes, you want to be transparent, but to what extent? Because it's not good to disclose 100%. Now, whatever percentage that you disclose, that is according to your judgment, your personal judgment and your experience. So you how you run your entity, and probably from your experience, it will guide on what extent you're supposed to disclose. So whatever you disclose, whatever you don't disclose, that is really according to your personal judgment. Then the last one, I would actually think that when it comes to being answerable, when it comes to being accountable, I think there are some things like which are very, very strategic, the things that you need to disclose, or the things that you need to be accountable. We live we live in a world where people don't even know what their spouses are doing, where they work. They leave in the morning and they come back and meet in the evening, but this one doesn't know the job or the source of income the spouse is doing. So I would actually think that for those strategic, the information like what you do, you may not disclose how much you earn, because to me now, like that's what I was saying personally, I think sometimes those are small things. What you earn, how much you earn, it may not be very necessary, but it would be good if you disclose to your spouse that I work here. Then about the time also depends on, now for example, today I told my wife I'm going to watch Villa because Villa has a game at 8. I told her today I'm coming late. But sometimes when I don't tell her, it maybe it can escape my mind, or I think that it's not necessary to tell her. So there are some things that are very, very important that you need to inform about. You need to disclose to your spouse, and not only to your spouse, but even other stakeholders. I'll give an example. Like when my dad passed on, for him, he had actually been showing us most of the things. At least we knew 99.99% of his estate. In fact, the things that we didn't know are things he would tell you, hey, by the way, I have a property here, but maybe it's like very far, or it's in some remote area. You don't bother to go there, but at least he had already told you that I had a property here. The guy would even go and show us where he used to buy his merchandise. So to him, I think he understood that that maybe for continuity reasons, if let's say I'm not around, it will be good for my children and my spouse to be knowing where all these things are. So that communication, that accountability on that side, it was actually very beneficial. That in his absence, the transition was not very difficult. We knew how the business was running. We knew, at least we knew most of the things, like I was saying, 99.9%. But that doesn't mean that whatever he was doing, you are supposed to disclose it to us. There are certain things which were not necessary for our information that he kept to himself. And maybe you could have disclosed to some people that were the input, to some people where the information was what was very necessary. But to certain people where the information was necessary, the spouse and the children, he disclosed. So I think that when you're becoming transparent, you judge as a person. You say, this information is right for my spouse, this information is right for my friends, and maybe my children, or any other close people. Then this information, you keep it to yourself. This one is me, and this one is mine, and mine alone with God. You only 2 people know about it. So that's what I can say.
Betson, before I let you go, there's an accountability tool called a will, which you're always up against. Why don't you like writing wills? Is it a form of accountability also? Saying these are the things I have or I've made, and here's where you can find them. What is wrong with a will in that sense then?
Okay, the thing about the will, and my argument against the will has always been, is when you're born, you come with nothing, and when you live with nothing. So whatever you have is not yours. It is the things that you found here and the things that you're going to leave here. So since you have no ownership over them and you've already gone, you have no business of allocating how it is supposed to be done. By the way, you know one thing that is so sad about the one, may I disagree with wills because of the thing of ownership. The thing I've always been talking about is that we don't own anything. We just use, and we're supposed to leave them here.
Okay, wills are not necessarily for property, by the way. It could also be just information for your people. Like in the case of your dad.
Now for him, he disclosed earlier. He would tell us everything. Here, I bought this, and he would go in. Now, like me personally, since I was the eldest, he would take efforts to ensure that at least I know each and everything. Unlike maybe my siblings, but at least he would make sure. Of course, my mom would know because they're doing these things together. Now, me, he would make sure that I also know. So you have to do those things before you die. You don't have to wait when you're in the coffin and then you start writing that I have this, I have this, I have this. Now, me, that is the problem I have with the will. So if you're still breathing, do that part. In
So doing will when you're still
don't
alive and show people things and tell them all these things. That's what you're saying.
exactly. Yes, yes. Whenever you and you see yes, you've talked about property. When you acquire a new property, update your balance sheet, inform people that now I bought a new property. It's here. So you don't have to wait when you die and then you write those things in a document. Me, that is my personal take.
Okay. Thank you, Ped. And of course, I don't want us to restrict this to writing of wills and all. Tom, can you talk? Can you hear us? Yes, not. Let me first go back to Bob then. Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Going by Peter's definition of information administration, I hope you had it, which is the why, the when, and how you manage this information. Are there things that should be off limits when it comes to accountability in marriage? Like the 1, 2, 3 things should never be subjected to this information administration, as in they are off the books, if I may use that language. Are there things like that, or why everything should be on the table? Of course, managed wisely, but on the table. What I'm asking, are there things that should not be on the table at all? Or can you think of any?
Again, let me see if I can think of something. But the issue is, again, as I said earlier, that marriage, the two are one. I think even Mr. Omuchweze has just told us that probably the mom knew about everything of his father's dealings because they were doing this together. Okay. As I said, wherever there's something, when you sit down, and I'm not saying that personally, I disclose everything, but I'm saying when you sit down and you realize that this one I don't want to disclose, just know there is a red flag there. Now, the red flag is, why don't you want to disclose? Again, the what, the how that Peter was bringing in. There has to be a strong justification. For example, I'm doing a bad deal that may result into death. If my wife knows about it, then it puts her in harm's way. This is a bad deal. As if I've gone to movies, but I'm just trying to bring what can cause you not to tell your spouse something. To protect them. If you are protecting them and that's justification, we can say, okay, he did not disclose this information to the wife because if the wife knew, maybe the wife was going to be put in danger. However, the wife at least needs to know that there is something you're dealing with X, Y, and Z. You may protect them from the details, but the issue of you two, basically you two are breathing together. And now, again, as Isaiah said, me, I'm talking about abatali basuubuzi, people who are not mercenaries. You know, your spouse is your life partner, someone they've decided they're going to do life with you until death do you apart. So you are supposed to know what is going on. So if you realize that your partner is a musubuzi, then you limit what they know, because even when you disclose, even if it's business, they may end up coming up with a way of dealing with you so that they take that money. So you're going to protect your estate from that musubuzi, and probably they're not the right person you're supposed to be with as a life partner. So know your spouse. Once you know that you have chosen your spouse and you believe this spouse is in it for the lifetime, then there's nothing you should be hiding from them. They should know. Now, I'll give an example, for example, of the whereabouts. I know Muchwez talked about sometimes, okay, he disclosed to the wife that he was going to watch soccer, and the wife knew, but then he also said there are sometimes where he doesn't have to disclose. Now, my question, my problem with that is that the reason why you need to know the reason why you're disclosing, because this someone is going to say, okay, usually Muchwez comes from work, he drives straight home. but he has not texted me to tell me that he's delayed or he's going somewhere, I get worried. As a family, your wife, your kids start getting, these days people are being abducted, these days people go do bad deals, and then they are in danger. So the issue of accountability, even if you are not obliged to tell your spouse where you are, it is a courtesy, for them to know, because they're going to worry about you. If you're going to visit a friend, just text, hey, I'm going to be late, I'm visiting a friend. The issue is not when they're going to ask, why are you visiting that friend? Why are you no, the issue, the accountability bit is that your wife is at rest knowing, okay, I know where my husband is coming back late. He has informed me about it. Now, the issue of keeping quiet, that is where a problem comes in. You haven't told them, then you go somewhere, you get involved in an accident, or I'm just saying that the accountability issue has to be on all things. And where you choose to not to disclose, there should be a strong reason that is meant to either protect this person, and where you feel you're not disclosing, you should really review that and understand it as a red flag and deal with it, because it's going to bring issues in your mind. Again, I will say, do not give any reason for your partner to doubt you. Giving an example of a phone, if your phone rings, it should be easy for your partner to touch it and either give it to you or tell you so and so is calling. Now, if your partner touches your phone and you tell them, put that phone down, it is my phone, it belongs to me, you're already creating some doubt that there's something you're hiding from them. But if they are free to hold your phone and give it to you without you coming out, they will trust you, and they will not have to open your phone ever again, because they know you're living an open relationship. I think that, I don't know if I've tried to answer your question. So.
Yeah, you have. Thank you. Peter, let me come back to you as well. As you do your information administration, are there files that should remain classified? Why or why not? If Peter is still there. Oh, he has gone to eat more fufu. Yes.
Yeah. There are files that must never be disclosed. But I think that is at the discretion of the file bearer. I don't think we can have rules or universal rules from which we can say such and such kind of information might never be disclosed. It should be at the discretion of the bearer. So you have to judge the cost of disclosing information. Some information, you should go to the grave with it. Unfortunately. So, like I said, accountability, be accountable. You're not just answerable, you're answerable to somebody's feeling, somebody's so, I mean, there is a lot at stake as you're being accountable. Somebody can deny faith, or somebody can leave faith because you've been accountable. And they disfaith, okay, the God, the true God, because of your of being accountable and being answerable. So that's why I said it begins with understanding self. When you're blessed to understand self, okay, one of the things I learned from Jesus, that there is a moment when you need to keep quiet. Somebody asks you where you've been, and you have a blessed silence.
How can the silence be blessed? No.
Yes, and you're being accountable by going silent. Yeah, so there is some no-go information, no disclosure. Just like Pastor White enlightened us about formal, that are the marrieds aware that this is a formal institution? So is it true that in a formal institution, all information is disclosed? No. Some is read.
Some remains with the MD.
Exactly. It will never get
Some
disclosed.
the board of governors.
So you get to know that your friend is going to be fired, and you've been to that meeting. and you know what this job means to her or means to him. You know, but that should be at the discretion. I repeat, at the discretion of the message bearer. I submit.
Thank you. Tom Ariong, your hand has been up. I know you want to submit on the issue. Tukuwulira. Toli accountable tetukuwulira. Tuwulira echoes zokka zokka. Guys, can you hear Tom? I can't hear him.
No, we can't hear him.
Oh, we can't hear you, sorry. Oliwa.
No, normally,
Kyekibuzo
but it's
accountability nakyo.
this time is
Alabika avuga.
live.
Alabika avuga.
What ayagala kubeera accountable. Anyway, Isaiah, I'm going to ask you two questions. One is the same I've been asking everybody. Are there things that should remain classified? Just give us some examples. But then second, I wanted to go to the issue of, in your submission earlier, you said there should be an enforcer of the rules of the laws of this company. So my question was going to be, who is that enforcer accountable to? Because as you know, the enforcer has all the power to, he has the tools of coercion, they have the tools of everything. So who is that person accountable to? But first answer the issue of classified files.
Now, classified files vary, but in most cases, it depends on the recipient of the information. You see, no one would like to keep anything discreet apart from the recipient or the possible recipient and the anticipated reaction, and of course, the damage that might happen after the recipients actually receive that information. So the reason as to why we do not tell some people some things, it is not because of the quality of what we are going to say, but it is always about the quality of the audience of that information. And therefore, based on that, we classify that information. I can assure you, my moderator, every classified information, there are those who know the classified information. And the reason as to why they know it is because they can manage the information. So in administering the information, we are concerned not with people knowing, but we are more concerned with the welfare of those who are to know. Am I making sense?
After they have known what will happen to them, that's what you're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is why awotandise okujjaawo n'otera okuwulikika. So this is why nedda okyali bubiddayo. So
network yo teri accountable ddayo.
This is why we keep this information away from them in the context and in the spirit of protecting those who cannot manage the information. So, for example, if I had a child out of my marriage or even before my marriage, and I have not disclosed that information, it is not because of me or because of the child. It is because of the love that I have for my spouse. And I protect her from that information, her or him from that information, until maybe when I die. Because there the reaction might be different in my absentia. So that is one of the information. Then the other information is the ability to understand. For example, Rutembana was here before he left and told you that he called his wife and told her that I'll be watching FC Villa because it has a match today. Rutembana likes and loves football so much. Okay? And then he communicated that. He communicated football. But in the event that Rutembana was in a bar, we all know who Rutembana is. He's a Christian man. if he was in a bar, would his wife understand a bar like she would understand football? So sometimes you choose not to tell your spouse where you are because of the bias that they have against where you are, regardless of what you are doing there. That is in the spirit of protection, based on your fragility. So it is important for you not to say everything. Transparency does not mean carelessness. Like I told you, marriage is a formal institution, and you very well know that information flows in an institution on levels. There's that information that flows from level 1 and it stays there. Then there are details from that information that go to level 2. Then there are details from level 2 that go to level 3. You know how information flows in institutions.
Mm.
And some details are sieved. Why? Because they want to make sure that there is a balance in the entire institution. So you don't wake up in the morning and tell your children, I'm HIV positive, but mommy is not, but me, I'm going to die. But before I die, I'll be taking my pills.
Hey.
And you see me, I'm transparent. So I let the children know. No, you don't do that. That is not their information. So there are things that we do not say in marriage moderator. In fact, there are things that we shouldn't say. And we don't say that because we're keeping others in darkness. No, we're actually protecting them from the darkness itself. Thank you, moderator. That was your first question.
Now, the second one is about the enforcer, based on your earlier submission. Enforcer of the rules. Usually the husband. So the husband wants accountability or demands accountability from the wife, but he himself does not want to be accountable. For example, he demands to check the woman's phone to know how much she earns, where she is, with who, but he himself does not do the same. What would you say to that?
Now, the reason as to why I forced my analogy of the institution into this discussion is because I knew where we were going, given this generation. Gentlemen and ladies, the hierarchy of marriage, the man, the husband, is at the top of that hierarchy. Or actually ought to be at the top of that hierarchy. Should be at the top of that hierarchy. For example, yes, for example, I told my wife that if she wants a password in her phone, it is me to install it. So I did not forbid her from having a password in her phone, no. But that password should be installed by myself. Why? Because I have the right to access that phone whenever I want. And that is not controlling. No, that is protecting her. My role as her husband is to protect her. And you do not protect anything where there is limited access. As simple as that. So, gentlemen, there are two world views or there are two schools here. Either the man is the head of the family or the family has got two heads. As simple as that. Because normally when we introduce this topic of let the man be in charge, they call it controlling, misogyny. There are many terms I can't even remember how many there are.
Patriarchy. Toxic masculinity.
toxic masculinity. No, 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 no. The man must, the hierarchy of the family or of marriage, the man is at the top. That is why on that dining table, the man does not sit in the sides. He sits at the end. So everyone in marriage is allowed to submit, but the decision maker must be the man. It is that whole thing of the institution, ladies and gentlemen. All workers have the right to participate in the meetings, but it is the CEO to decide the direction of this company and this institution. So, moderator, the enforcing authority of every marriage is the husband. And I can assure you, normal and sober women want that authority over them. They do not want to be the authority over the man. It bores them. They enjoy it here at first, like they excited, new power, new office, but in the long run, they get bored and they get frustrated. And they hate a man without direction. They hate a man without authority. So you people who have been abused by this feminism and other Western abusers, we are equal. We discuss. We agree. We agree to disagree. The enforcing authority is the man, aka the husband. As simple as that. So if your wife is not willing, okay, to submit to that authority, then there is no marriage. As simple as that. That's the whole thing, moderator. I don't even want to waste time on that.
So the husband being the head of the home, everybody is accountable to him, but he doesn't necessarily have to account to everybody.
If he's a good husband and a sober good husband, isn't it? He is accountable also. He's accountable. If your wife asks you, where are you? Okay? Don't tell her that. Don't ask me where I am. No. Tell her where you are. When are you coming back? Tell her I don't know. Oh, I'll come back midnight. Oh, I'll come back early. As simple as that. You have responded. You had authority. Jethro, you and I work in institutions. Do you call the CEO and ask them when they are coming back?
No.
But they can report and tell you, well, I'm flying out. I'm going to Washington. I have a 2-week seminar. That is all. You mark the date.
That is their accountability.
That is their accountability. But you don't say, we are always here, but you're always flying out, in and out. Okay, what was in the meet? What were the details of the conference? And those are the work. Marriage is a formal institution. Respect the hierarchy. And a responsible hierarchy will give reports. We were here, we did the ABC, and they will disclose the information that concern you. The information that concern you. This is what women want. Forget about what the white man has told you. That's why their marriages have failed. Because the hierarchy was violated. And they're now beating them to death. Domestic violence is in the country of Muyanja than it is in Africa. Why? Because the hierarchy was violated. So, being the head of the family does not mean that you cannot report where you are and where you are going. Because no one is going to stop you from where you are going. Tell your wife where you are going. Tell her where you are. Tell her when you are going to come back. You are in charge. She's not going to come and drag you out from there.
You're not asking for permission. You're just
You're
informing.
not asking for permission. However, your wife must ask for permission. I have to emphasize that.
Say, come again.
Your wife must ask for permission.
Isn't that being too controlling?
So you thought that I am going to be afraid and jitter about this whole thing. It is not controlling. Do not confuse controlling with protection. Your wife must ask for permission where she's going. If she's going to work, you permitted her to work, that is okay. So every day she wakes up and she's going to work, that is okay. But if she's going elsewhere, not at work where you permitted beforehand, she has to ask for permission. As simple as that. That's not controlling. That's being. Okay, let me ask you, where you work from, don't you ask for permission outside leave when you're going to miss at work?
Yeah, definitely.
Hierarchy, it is the same thing. There must be an authority in the house, in this marriage. That's how accountability works. Okay, let me ask you, we are discussing accountability. Accountability is giving report to authority. It is being answerable to authority, true or false?
True.
And then you have to tell me where you're going. And I allow or I deny you that. I am your husband. And the hierarchy works like that. Children do not leave the home without asking their parents. And the wife cannot leave her home without asking her husband. Let us go back to that whole thing because that is how things work. And no one should tell me that, no, that is too controlling. Okay. How has liberality helped our marriages and families? Where are we? You can't be my wife and walk in and walk out at your own discretion. Jokers. Bye.
we have 7 minutes to go, 6 minutes now. Obviously, when we ask the question of the will of God, it implies that whatever we've been saying is is I don't know, maybe our own will. And Isaiah has taught us here that whatever we've been saying is the will of God. We don't have to wait for the end. Anyway, let me just get some.
Normally, when people ask for the will of God, they're asking for a verse so that they can do some proof texting and abusing the text.
Peter Kajambo.
Professor Fufu. Professor Fufu.
Let's just have some closing remarks or some parting shots on this matter. Let me start with Peter. Professor Fufu. What we have 6 minutes to go, so let's wrap this up.
Accountability.
Accountability.
My key takeaway is I've been thinking about it. Is what Pastor White said. That marriage is a formal institution. Treat it as such. Be accountable in a manner that befits a formal institution. Thank you very much.
You people have taken away our love from this thing called marriage. Kale, Bob. People have taken away our feelings and our love and mushy. Bob, your closing remarks on this matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me again. It's the issue of being able to live freely with your spouse. Again, in quotes, freely, presenting. I mean, not giving your spouse a reason to mistrust you. Okay, so for me, as long as there's no mistrust, try your best not to create mistrust. Otherwise, as human beings, even the assertive position that Pastor Isaiah has presented too, again, it will show as if you're controlling and everything like that. But the issue is that assertiveness is going to cause other problems. So even as you assert yourself, you have to always look at the lenses with the other person in mind. If you love your wife and yes, you want to protect her, but you have to listen to her submission as she is asking for, in quote unquote, that permission. Okay, you cannot all the time be saying, don't go here, don't go there, don't go there. In our nature as human beings, we are free. There's that free soul. We are born. We want to take decisions. We want to do the things we love. That's why I gave an example of things that don't cause issues of accountability. Why, for example, we ended up for us saying, pick this percentage of your money. Whatever you do with it is up to you, because you want to have that freedom. Everyone wants to have that freedom in marriage. It doesn't have to be like a cage. Someone has caged you. If I get that money which belongs to me and I blow it, that's up to me. But it's that freedom. So wherever you insert some kind of dominance over someone, always think through, because if you over dominate, they are going to end and you suffocate some of the things they like. They're going to go behind your back. As we know kids, you stop them from doing this thing, they will do that exact thing. So let us think through, as with love, with care, and live through with our beings, not to cause any mistrust in between. Let us be accountable. Adam was asked, where is Eve? And that moment she was away from him, stuff happened. So let us be accountable to our spouses. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Bob. Finally, Isaiah, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Mine is a simple one, moderator. Confirm the love, and being accountable not to be a problem.
Come again.
Confirm that you love that woman, and you man confirm that that is the man that you need. Being accountable will not be a problem at all.
Musumba. Hello?
Yes.
Why did you use need when it came to the woman?
Because it is men who love, women must need. As far as Ephesians chapter 5, from verse 21 and 23 are concerned, through to 25 actually, you can read. Women are not lovers. Men are the lovers. Confirm that this is the woman that you need. You will not dictate what you love. You will protect what you love. You won't control it. Confirm that this is the man that you need. It will not be difficult to submit to what you need. We all know how we submit at work and fight at home. Thank you, moderator.
That is stable. What you can do? Thank you, moderator.
Anyway, that's all we had time for, ladies and gentlemen. It's only the gentlemen left on the call, but this has been In Truth and in Spiritual of Worship Fellowship with our weekly catch-up.
Only 5.
Thank you for joining, and God bless you and keep you. We'll meet again on Monday with our Q&A session. Bye-bye.